Miami walked into the Swamp and absolutely handled business. Final score, Miami 41, Florida 17. What does it mean for the Hurricanes going forward? What does this say about Cam Ward? Spoiler alert, I think his brain probably needs to be studied by scientists everywhere because he walked into Gainesville and looked like he was out for a walk in the park in what I was saying all throughout the week really should have been one of the most intimidating environments in college football and definitely of week one. We'll talk about all that, but first things first, Miami fans, make sure you're subscribed right here. Looks like your Canes are going to have a more than decent shot to throw their hat in the ring for the college football playoff. It's an exciting time in Coral Gables. Lock in right here. Going to talk a lot about your Canes. Also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JDPakel. Want to hear from you all over there. So watching this game, had a lot of different thoughts throughout the course of these four quarters. And one of the main thoughts I had that was kind of consistent from the start to the end was I felt both pretty intelligent and then I also felt pretty stupid. I'll start with why I felt stupid. I felt stupid because I picked Florida to win this game. And then Miami went out there and 40-pieced it. It dropped 41 in the Swamp. That was nothing short of, like, in my opinion, ridiculous. What should have been ridiculous if you were a, just college football public viewing this thing. The reason why I felt intelligent was because I was like, man, well, I still had Miami as a college football playoff team, which wasn't the most, outside the box pick. But what we saw them do yesterday in Gainesville, again, hand up, Hurricane fans, I was wrong. I swung and missed on this one. I thought that Cam Ward would walk into the Swamp and there would potentially be a little bit of a growing pains. Maybe there would be a second for it to sort of have to piece together and everyone get on the same page because you got a bunch of transfers and your quarterback's a transfer. He's coming from the Pac-12 and now it's the SEC that he's going to go play in. And it's like, you saw none of that. You saw none of that from Cam Ward in this game. Walking into, like I just mentioned, an SEC environment. And he said after the game, he's like, man, I always wanted to play in the SEC, and I'm glad that I did that today. And again, just so we're on the same page, I understand Miami's in the ACC, but they played in an SEC environment. So we're all aligned there. Did not see that coming. Did not see that coming. Full transparency. Was high on Miami, but in this game, we absolutely missed, and we're happy to talk about it. Happy to eat our crow on a Sunday morning. The overarching thoughts I have from this one is if you're a Miami fan, this is both the roster you signed up for when Mario Cristobal got hired, and this is the attitude and the mentality that you've been asking for the better part of the last few seasons if you're a Hurricane fan. Because when Mario Cristobal got hired, what was like the main talking point? Everyone was just beaten to death. Hey, he's going to recruit. He's going to acquire talent. He's going to have a good roster, especially in the trenches. And what did you see yesterday? I saw a Miami roster top to bottom that, quite frankly, was just better than Florida. And the score indicated that. I saw a defensive front that pretty much had their way with that Florida offensive line. Not to say too much about Florida as a unit. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But overall, Miami was the dominant team physically, was the more talented team, and it all showed itself in that game. This was the roster, again, that you signed up for. Shout out to Mario Cristobal and that staff for using the portal the way that they have. Not even speaking about Cam Ward and the major addition he was to that roster. They were just the tougher, more physical, more dominant outfit. And there's not a whole lot more to break down outside of that. Now, speaking to the mentality, even if you weren't around for those Miami teams in the 80s, because I wasn't, but even if you weren't around for those teams, you understand the expectation for how those Miami teams played. Even early 2000s, you understand there's a certain vibe that comes with playing at the U. There's a certain expectation. And it's not just, we want to see our team win football games. That's obviously, the price of admission. But the swagger that this team played with yesterday, I thought it was notable. Because it wasn't just, we're going to win the game and be dominant. It was, we're going to be physical. We are going to rub your dirt. We're going to rub your face in the dirt. We are going to make you say uncle. We are going to have a swag and an edge and a confidence and a borderline arrogance that allows us to play at the level we're playing at. I was talking with my brother during the game because I had some prize picks plays going on during the second half, and I was hoping that a couple of them would hit, and a couple of them were some less totals on the wide receivers. I was hoping that a couple of those guys would maybe get less targets or less catches just because of the fact that at that point in time, Miami was more or less pouring it on. And then they go out there and run a reverse pass and darn near almost have Xavier Restrepo throw a touchdown pass. And I was like texting, I was like, hey, I don't think these dudes are taking their foot off the neck at all. Like I think this is just who they are. And this, again, felt very reminiscent of what you heard or saw those previous dominant Miami teams look like and play like. And that showed itself in that game. Now, going back to Cam Ward, man, he is what I would call a competitive psychopath. Because, again, my question in this game was, how will the external environment, how will this big-time environment in the swamp impact him? And it became very, very obvious watching Cam Ward scramble on that first drive. Like, he was just seeing the whole picture, and his heart rate could not have been too much above whatever his resting heart rate typically is, with 90,000 plus people screaming at him. Y'all, that is psychopath stuff. That is not having your brain all the way properly calibrated to the crazy competitive atmosphere that should have been. My dude was cool as a cucumber. And you saw it. It was just like he was back there playing football at like a barbecue, like two-hand touch with other people. Like that was the kind of vibe it had. He's dropping back, sort of just feeling the pocket, sort of shifting to his left, throwing back across right. Like it was ridiculous. And then when he scrambled out, he was just, casual. Like he would get a few yards downfield and kind of jog a few yards, look behind him. Like that should not have been the way that it looked or felt. But Cam Ward, you got to give a ton of credit to him and the way he approached it. That, to me, set the temperature for this Miami team. And he said it postgame, he's like, my mentality is I don't care. I don't care. Not in the sense of he's going to be apathetic, but in the sense that like he doesn't care about who's on the other side of the field, doesn't care about what the score is, doesn't care if he just threw a pick. He's going to play his game, ball out, and let the cards fall where they may. Y'all, I love that. I love that, and that lines up with everything that, quite frankly, we had heard about Cam Ward throughout spring football during fall camp. So, again, going back to feeling a little bit stupid, you're like, man, okay, that was all that we had heard, and then some from Cam Ward. Side note, I think Shannon Dawson's offense and what it looked like yesterday is really what he's always wanted to run. Like Cam Ward going for darn near 400 yards through the air, and then them also having that north and south like power run element available to them. You wanted to do that previously. You didn't have a guy like Cam Ward to do that. And also the skill players they have now with guys like Sam Brown elevating, Xavier Restrepo doing what he did, Jacoby George doing what he did, being able to maximize all those guys. I think this is very, very much so the Shannon Dawson offense, again, that you signed up for when he got hired and came to Coral Gables to call the show. So they're dangerous, man. They're very, very dangerous. Now, I don't want to overreact. It's Sunday morning. We are less than 24 hours removed from this game. However, on paper, this should be the toughest spot that Miami has on the schedule. There's the Louisville and Florida State run, but honestly, like Miami, and Andy Staples said this in his post-game reaction yesterday on the On3 YouTube channel, Miami really should be favored in every game they play in the rest of the way. They should be. And even if they don't, even if Miami is to walk into a game and maybe they're, let's call it a touchdown dog. I don't know. Just roll with me here. Let's say they're a 4-7 touchdown, or a 4-7, point dog. You got Cam Ward on that sideline, you're going to have a chance in every single game. Every single game because of what he brings to the table. And again, look at the schedule. I have a hard time seeing Miami lose any games the rest of the way. Now, again, we're going to break them all down as we go across throughout this magical ride that is the 2024 season. But we said it going into this one. Even if Miami didn't win this game, we thought they were an ACC champ, think they're a college football playoff team. And y'all, after seeing what they did yesterday, I have a hard time saying that I don't know that Miami's not going to do a little bit more than make the college football playoff. As long as you got one back there playing darts for you, they're going to be a force. They're going to be a force. Now, this has to speak some volumes too to Mario Cristobal, the way he's built that roster, got the job the same time as Billy Napier did. I'm not saying they walked into the same situation, but if you're Mario Cristobal, man, this has got to feel like the culmination of a lot of hard work that he's put in. All the talk this offseason around, they're always overhyped, they're always this, they're always that. They didn't take a knee, and then to walk out there and to just drop the mic in the swamp. We'll see what Florida is. I happen to think Florida's still a pretty good roster. They got to pick themselves up. We'll see what Florida is throughout the course of this season. But for Miami to make that statement and to have a dude at quarterback in Cam Ward, the Canes are very, very much so going to be a force for the rest of the college football landscape. So get at me on Twitter and Instagram at Judy Pickell. Let me know what you thought of this game. Make sure you're subscribed right here, baby. College football, nothing but college football every single day. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.